right, hold on once. Okay. How many charges does Mr. Hunter have? I'm sorry, Chandler. It is
It's all right.
case.
It's all right. It's all right. Three, four, five. Five charges.
Five.
All right. All right, now calling the matter of State of Georgia versus Hunter Chandler, warrant number 2025 WA 73643, window tint violation. 2025 WA 73644, violation of Georgia Controlled Substance Act. 2025 WA 73645, possession of a firearm during the commission of a crime. 2025 WA 73646, drug-related items. 2025 WA 73647, theft by receiving stolen property. Representing the state is ADA Thomas. Representing the defendant is Attorney Craig Lewis. Your witness, ADA Thomas.
Yes, ma'am. Officer, could you please raise your right hand? Do you solemnly swear and affirm that the evidence you shall give before the court shall be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God?
Yes, ma'am, I do.
You can put your hand down, state your name for the record.
Ryan Jackson Jr.,
And how are you employed?
Clayton County Police Department,
In what capacity?
signed to the Uniform Patrol Division.
And were you so employed in that capacity on March 15th of 2025?
Yes, ma'am. At that time, I was assigned to the Narcotics Division on the Criminal Apprehension and Gang Enforcement Unit.
You're in a different unit now?
I'm back on Uniform Patrol. I'm a sergeant now. At the time, I was still a police officer.
Oh, so you're telling us you got promoted?
Yes, ma'am.
Oh, congratulations.
Thank you.
Now, whilst you were still not promoted, did you have occasion to investigate an incident on North Main Street at South Lake Drive?
Yes, ma'am, I did.
And is that within the confines of the city of Jonesboro, Clayton County?
Yes, ma'am, it is.
And during your investigation, did you come into contact with a Hunter Byron Chandler?
Yes, ma'am, I did.
What brought you into contact with Mr. Chandler?
Conducted a traffic stop on the vehicle that he was operating due to window tint violation.
And when you say window tint violation, what was going on?
The windows was dark.
Could you see through the windows to see who was operating the vehicle?
I could not see through the rear back windows. No, ma'am.
Did Mr. Chandler stop?
Yes, ma'am.
And did you advise him as to why he was stopped?
Yes, ma'am, I did.
What happened next?
I asked him to step out of the vehicle, and then he was checked through GCIC, and he returned back out of Clayton County with the warrant. There was also a female passenger inside the vehicle. We also asked to step out of the vehicle as well.
Okay.
I'm sorry, ma'am.
I said, okay.
Okay. Officer Clark was my backup. He conducted a free air sniff with his K9 partner.
Objection. Answer is not in response to any question.
I asked him what happened, Your Honor. He's responded.
Okay, I'm sorry, Judge. She would like me to say objection narrative.
Your Honor, I don't believe it's a narrative. He's explaining what happened. I've asked a couple of questions during the midst of it, but for the most part, I need him to tell the court what happened that justifies probable cause in this matter.
Right. So you asked him why he stopped him.
And I asked him, did he, yes, ma'am.
And go ahead. And what else you asked him?
I asked him, did he advise the defendant as to why he stopped him? And he said he did. And then I asked him to explain to the court what happened after the defendant was advised as to why he had been stopped. And he had just begun that.
I didn't hear that either, but it's okay. That's our question.
Objection overruled. Go ahead and proceed.
Thank you, Your Honor. Now, officer, you indicated that there was a K9 officer there?
Yes, ma'am. Officer Clark was my backup.
And was it just you and Officer Clark at the time?
Yes, at that time. Yes, ma'am.
Okay. Now, did the K9 do anything?
Yes, ma'am. He conducted a free air sniff around the vehicle.
Okay.
His dog positively alerted on the vehicle.
When you say alerted, what did the dog do?
He gave the dog handler, Officer Clark, a positive alert.
And why would he do that?
His dog's is trained in the detection of narcotics.
So when you say an alert, does that mean that the dog scented something?
Yes, ma'am.
Were you able to make a determination of what the dog scented?
No, ma'am.
Were you able Did you have occasion to search the vehicle?
Yes, ma'am. I conducted a probable cause search based off of the positive K9 alert.
Okay. And what happened as a result of that search?
During the search, I located a pink SCCY pistol behind the center console. I located a backpack belonging to Mr. Chandler. The backpack contained a glass pipe in it with white and brown residue, which is consistent with either cocaine or meth being smoked out of it. I also located some fentanyl strips behind the front passenger seat.
Did anyone in the car, first of all, how many people were in the car?
Just two.
And did the driver or the passenger claim what you found?
Yes, ma'am. The driver admitted to all of the contraband located in the vehicle.
The driver admitted the backpack was his?
Yes, ma'am.
Did the passenger say anything?
No, ma'am. Not that I can recall.
And the driver is the person before the court today, Mr. Chandler?
Yes, ma'am.
The person that you came into contact with that day, do you see them in court today?
Yes, ma'am.
Can you identify them by physical appearance or article of clothing?
Yes, ma'am. It's going to be a white male with a gray shirt on, with tattoos on his neck.
Okay. Now, after he claimed the items, what did you find in that bag?
Just a glass pipe, which is believed to be used to smoke illegal narcotics.
Okay.
And also the firearm that was located behind the center console was checked through GCIC and it returned stolen out of College Park.
Now, did he claim the weapon also?
He admitted to everything in the vehicle that we located.
What else did you find besides the weapon in the backpack?
Fentanyl strips behind the front passenger seat.
He claimed those too?
Yes, ma'am.
Did the passenger say anything?
Not that I can recall. She talked to the other officers.
What happened to the items that were recovered, the narcotics, the weapon?
The fentanyl strips, the firearm, and the glass pipe were all taken to Clayton County Evidence Locker Room and placed into a locker. The fentanyl strips was then sent off to the GBI to be checked.
And the weapon, you said that came up stolen?
Yes, ma'am. It returned stolen out of College Park.
Okay.
All right, give me, hold on, give me 30 seconds. Hold on 1 second.
Yes, ma'am.
All right, you can go ahead. I'm sorry.
Officer, do you remember where you left off at?
Yes, ma'am. Everything was taken to the Clayton County Evidence Locker Room and placed in an evidence locker, and the fentanyl strips was sent off to the GBI to be tested.
And have you received the results back yet?
Not to my knowledge.
Okay. Now, did Mr. Chandler make any of the statements to you?
No, ma'am.
And I believe you indicated the passenger spoke with the other officer at the scene.
Yes, ma'am.
Was she arrested?
No, ma'am, she wasn't.
Okay. What happened to the glass pipe?
It was placed in evidence.
Okay. And were you equipped with video at the time?
Yes, ma'am.
Was the K9 officer also equipped with video?
Yes, ma'am, he was.
Do you know if your video captured your interactions with Mr. Chandler?
Yes, ma'am, it did.
And did that include him admitting that the substances found in the car and the items found in the car were his?
Yes, ma'am.
And where is that video now?
It's going to be on the Polaris website with all the other body cam videos.
And would that be the K9 officer, would his video also be there?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. Yeah, I believe that's all I have reserved right for redirect.
All righty. Go ahead, Attorney Lewis.
Thank you, Judge. Sergeant Jackson, good afternoon to you, sir.
Good afternoon, sir.
Congratulations on your promotion, by the way.
Thank you, sir.
Going back to the day of, I heard you to say that you could not see through a window on this car. Is that correct?
Yes, sir.
Oh, it was the rear window. Is that right?
Yes, sir.
Any other windows?
Just that window.
Okay. And did you put a meter on that rear window or put a light on it?
Yes, sir. I put a 10 meter on it.
A 10 meter on it. All right. And what did it come back as? Your
Uh,
call?
3%.
3%. All right.
Yes, sir.
Cool. All right. And then with respect to this K9 officer, what's his name again?
Officer Clark.
Clark. Thank you, sir. Officer Clark had his K9 do a walk around on this vehicle. Is that correct?
Yes, sir.
And while he was doing the walk around on this vehicle, the K9 alerted. Is that correct?
Yes, sir.
Now, which substances is this K9 trained to detect?
I can't answer that question only because I'm not a K9 handler. I don't want to give you any. I don't want to misinform you.
Sounds good. So you don't know if the K9 hit on any of these substances that you recovered or something else. Is that right?
Correct.
Okay. Now, I heard you to say there were several items that were actually seized as part of the evidence, and I heard you describe a pistol. Describe that pistol again for me, please.
It's going to be a pink and silver SCCY pistol.
Uh-huh. Okay. And which caliber is that, sir?
It would either be between a 380 or a 9mm.
Thank you. That's actually one I'm not familiar with. All right. And then the drug types, I heard you to say fentanyl. What else?
And then glass pipe, which had it could have been consistent. It was consistent with either methamphetamines or cocaine.
Yeah, for cocaine. All right, cool. And the meth was in the form of strips.
The fentanyl was, sir.
I'm sorry, thank you. I didn't mean that the way I said it. The fentanyl was in strips. Let me ask you, Sergeant, only because I'm learning a lot more about fentanyl nowadays. Is fentanyl a substance that is legal in the state of Georgia?
With the prescription, it could be legal.
Okay. But meth, of course, is not.
Correct.
And cocaine, I think, is, but it comes in other substances like cough medicine. All right. So the young man that
Attorney
you were,
Lewis,
yes,
hold on,
ma'am.
who is iPhone 2?
I don't know. Who's iPhone 2, Judge? You weren't
Officer
asking me, were
Cox.
you asking somebody else?
2?
Officer Cox.
All right, do you have a case? If you could rename your device.
Yes, I accidentally was kicked out, so I have to rename it. But I do have a case for
Okay.
Mr. Morgan.
Okay, that's gonna be a consent bond, so you if you don't have anything further, you're free to go.
Thank you.
Thank
Officer
you.
Cox, I've been trying to excuse you for an hour.
Okay, my apologies again, go ahead.
Yeah, that's all right, Judge. It's all right. All right. Man, let me see where I left out. All right. So you said that the driver admitted that everything in the car belongs to him.
Yes, sir.
And how did he do that? What question was asked him?
We explained to him everything that was located in the vehicle, and
Uh-huh.
he stated that everything was his.
You explained that?
Yes, sir.
Okay. All right. And you told him I got fentanyl strips.
Yes, sir.
Did you ask him if he had a prescription for them?
No, sir.
Okay. And then he said the pistol was his.
He admitted to everything. Yes, sir.
All right. Now, this pistol, was it registered in his name?
In the state of Georgia, there's no pistol registry, so we can't determine if a pistol is registered or not. But the only thing I can tell you is that when I checked it through NTIC and GCIC, it returned stolen.
It returned stolen.
Yes, sir.
So if I may ask, how did it return stolen if there's no registry?
The owner of the firearm,
Uh-huh.
College Park Police Department, and reported that pistol stolen.
All right. And how did you identify this as the firearm that was stolen?
I checked the serial number.
Okay. So the serial number was visible.
Yes, sir.
Now, where did you check this serial number in? How'd you check it?
I checked it through dispatch, and then I checked it through my computer.
All right. Now let me ask a question of you, just because I don't know. Does a civilian, namely the one that you pulled over, have access to your dispatch?
If he called a 9 emergency number, yes.
And they would tell him if his pistol is stolen?
No, sir.
Okay. How about your computer? Does civilian have access to your computer?
No, sir.
All right. Okay. So how would a person, just any old person, like Crail, how would I know if my pistol is stolen?
I can give you an example, Mr. Lewis. Let's
Yes,
say,
sir.
for example, you wanted to purchase a firearm from like a friend of yours, right?
Yes,
What you
sir.
can do is you can call the local agency where you live at and
Yes,
have
sir.
them come out there and they can check the firearm before you purchase it.
I got it. I got it. So it's not, so although it is, that's not a requirement in law, right?
It's not, no, sir.
But it is an option.
Yes.
Okay. And I do that before I purchase it, correct?
Yes, sir.
All
I
right.
can advise you to do that. Yes, sir.
Okay, cool. Yeah, I think I will. I think I will. So now let me ask a question. Is there anything on this pistol to the outward person that would say, man, this thing is stolen?
No, sir.
Okay. Did you ask him if he knew it was stolen?
Not that I can recall, sir. No, sir.
Okay. All right, cool. This car that he was driving, what kind of car was it?
I believe it was a Chevy Malibu.
Chevy Malibu. Just an ordinary Chevy Malibu, or one that's used for, let's say, Uber and other things like that?
Just the ordinary one.
Just ordinary. All right. All right. Hang on just a second. All right. Is you charged him with theft by receiving this the pistol that's stolen, correct?
Yes, sir.
Did you ask him who he got it from?
Not that I can recall, no, sir.
Did you ask him how he acquired it?
No, sir.
Okay. All right. How many of those fentanyl strips did you find?
I believe it was anywhere between 3 and 5.
3 and 5 fentanyl strips. Okay. And they were not in the bag, or they were in the bag with the pipe?
No, sir. There was this on the floor.
They were on the floor.
Yes, sir.
All right. Where on the floor, sir?
Behind the front passenger seat.
Behind the front passenger seat. All right. Were they in something?
No, sir. They were like spread out on the floor.
Just laid out there.
Yes, sir.
Okay. Did the guy who's driving the car, did he appear to be under the influence of the fentanyl?
Not to my knowledge, no.
All right. I only asked that question because I just had a visit with a detective that told me that stuff can get right on through the skin if you touch it.
Yes, sir.
All right. Is it in some kind of protective covering or something, even though it's on the floor just spread out?
Yes, sir.
All right. What's it in?
It was just like a little plastic sheet on, and it was stuck to another piece of plastic.
Okay. I got it. All right. And my last question is, who's the car registered to?
It was the front seat passenger.
The car was registered to the front seat passenger.
Yes, sir.
And that passenger, what's that passenger saying?
I don't have the report in front of me. I can't tell you off the top of my head.
Did you arrest the passenger?
No, sir.
You didn't arrest the passenger because the driver told you everything belonged to him?
Yes, sir.
All right. I got one final question. That's a lie. I've got 2 or 3.
Yes, sir.
Was the front seat passenger a woman or a man?
Female.
Female. And the person who was driving was a man?
Yes, sir.
All right. Have you ever known criminals to lie?
Yes, sir.
Mm-hmm. Have you ever known guys to be chivalrous for girls?
Yes, sir.
Mm-hmm. Okay. What made you believe that this guy was telling the truth on this occasion, and the owner of the car was not the owner of the fentanyl that spread out all over the back, even though his pipe is inside his bag?
Just because he stated that was his, sir.
Oh, all right. So you just believed him just because he said it?
Yes, sir.
All right. Good enough, Sergeant. Thanks, sir.
Yes, sir.
Right, any redirect,
No, Your Honor.
closing arguments?
I'll reserve.
All right, go ahead. Attorney
Um,
Lewis.
yes, Judge. Hang on just a second, please. Let me flip my computer to a place so I can do just that.
Mhm.
Judge, in particular, right now, I'm going to start with the firearm that is alleged to have been stolen in this particular case. The sergeant has testified that using his equipment or dispatch, he was able to ascertain that the gun whose serial number he could see was in fact stolen. He has intimated that the defendant has claimed that the gun belonged to him. This is a pink and, I believe, pink and silver gun. Um, Judge, I'm looking at a case called Sharp versus State. Um, and I'm looking at a decision from the Georgia Supreme Court in a 2020 case. 310 Georgia 254 is the citation to this case. This is a case where the Supreme Court of Georgia reversed a decision where a defendant was held to be in possession of a gun that was stolen and found guilty of under the theft by receiving statute. The court says, although the evidence was introduced at trial to suggest that the gun was stolen and that the defendant was in possession of it, there was nothing introduced at trial to suggest that the defendant knew that the gun was stolen. And as such, it was legally insufficient for the court to be able to find the defendant guilty. That is Sharp versus State. That is Georgia Supreme Court law from 2020, and it is still good. I would submit to you, Judge, that the charge of theft by receiving a stolen gun in this case cannot stand for the very reason that the Georgia Supreme Court said it can't. There is nothing out here that we do when purchasing a firearm. That I heard the officer say, well, you can call in, and I think maybe he can call in, but I know they ain't gonna let Crail. They're not gonna tell Crail that the gun is stolen. And there's nothing in this case to say that the person who is driving this car that belongs to someone else called in to check to find out and was told that the gun was stolen. Or even at the time that they acquired the gun, it had been reported stolen. So if they called in, they would even know. It is not something, because we don't have a registry for firearms in this state, that's just automatic. Somebody's got to call in. So whenever they decide to call in and report something stolen, is when it gets into whatever system the officer was able, the sergeant, then an officer was able to check. And so I would submit to you that there is insufficient evidence to hold on to that charge. With respect to the window tint, Judge, we would submit on the window tint. The sergeant did it just the way it's supposed to be done. And so we submit on that. With respect to the VGCSA, referring to the fentanyl, however, we got a different problem. You see, fentanyl is legal in this state to possess. And because it is legal in the state to possess, the very next thing that needs to be ascertained before you go and arrest somebody and charge them with possession, violation of the Georgia Controlled Substance Act related to fentanyl, is to find out if they got a prescription, or maybe if the passenger has a prescription, since it's her car and it's on the floor of her car, whereas the glass pipe that the defendant is said to have also claimed is in a bag, a separate place. And so at some point in time, somebody should have asked at least the person we're not arresting, is this her fentanyl, number one? And then number two, of everybody that's involved, is there a prescription for it? So we don't have a violation of the Georgia Controlled Substance Act with respect to that. With respect to the stuff that's in the pipe, the sergeant has said that it is an evidence. It's not at GBI. The fentanyl was sent to GBI. It's not sent to GBI. So we have no idea what's in the pipe. We know it's a glass pipe. I've asked this question many times over. Are glass pipes used for other purposes? I did not ask this officer this because I just thought it was unnecessarily redundant. Judge, I would submit to you that pipes are used for a whole bunch of purposes, not just illegal substances. And so we don't know what's inside that pipe unless somebody somewhere tests it at some point in time. So for the foregoing reasons, Judge, I'm going to ask you to dismiss the theft by receiving gun charge because the Georgia Supreme Court says it should be based upon what you have received. The possession of a firearm during the commission of a crime, we're going to submit on it because there is a firearm present, and there is some evidence that there is a crime being committed, but it's only evidence of a crime being committed if you believe that the fentanyl has to be an illegal substance at this point in time. If you don't believe that, then there is no felony on the list of felonies that is there that this firearm possession would actually stand up to be a crime under Georgia law. Thank you.
ADA Thomas?
Yes, ma'am. I guess I'm going to start with the fentanyl part first. And I understand Attorney Lewis's argument regarding you can have a prescription for fentanyl and what have you. However, that's not how this item that was recovered from this car was packaged. It wasn't packaged in a prescription form. It was packaged or presented, I guess, for lack of a better word, in strips, the form that is commonly used for using it illegally. The defendant.
I'm sorry, Judge. Objection to the characterization. We didn't receive anything on how stuff is normally, and I don't even know.
I didn't say anything about normally, Your Honor.
Oh, okay.
I did not say the word normally at all. I said how it was presented to the officer. I have no idea. I've never seen fentanyl in my life. I do know what this officer saw based on his testimony. He saw strips of what was, Your Honor?
Yeah, I said, yes. I said, go ahead and rephrase it. Go ahead.
Yes, ma'am. What the officer saw was strips of what he identified as fentanyl scattered on that back seat floor, rear passenger side, no, rear back seat on the floor. So that is not the form that I believe that fentanyl that you get with a prescription is packaged. In addition, this gentleman, for reasons which we can only speculate, despite defense counsel's argument otherwise, this gentleman claimed everything that was in the car. If there was any issue with anything, like that's not my fentanyl, that's not my glass pipe, that's not my fill in the blank, it seems that he would have said so. The officers were in uniform. They had a K-9. It is obvious what they're there for. No one voluntarily goes to jail that I know of doing this work for a long time, goes to jail voluntarily for somebody else just to be a gentleman. Now, state concedes that the car was her car, apparently. However, whether or not she possessed anything in the car ceased to be an issue. Whether she had a prescription for anything, again, is not an issue because he claimed everything. He had a pipe. He had the strips. He had the weapon. And let's talk about the weapon for a minute. I understand defense counsel's argument regarding that. However, you kind of take your weapon as you found it. He's not charged with taking it. He's charged with having it. And he claimed it as such. He didn't distinguish by saying it. He didn't make any type of distinction. He claimed it. So at this point in time, state would contend that there's sufficient evidence to transfer this case in its entirety to the Superior Court.
So based upon the evidence presented, I do find there is sufficient probable cause to bind all the charges over to the state court. Excuse me, Superior Court of Clayton County. That's the order of the court.
Thank you, Your Honor.
Thank you, Judge. And that